On the phone right now from London is the Lions beat writer for the Detroit Free Press, Dave Birkett. Hopefully, Dave, we're paying for the call. Is that what's happening, Dave?
Yeah, Rich, sitting in my hotel room right now. So you guys called my hotel room, so I think this one's on you.
Okay, very good. So, Dave, paint me the picture. What's it been like this week in London with the Lions having a pretty darn big football game ahead of themselves?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the Lions are staying at one of the nicest hotels I've ever been in. So, they got to move those guys out of there tomorrow so they can come down to London for the game. Otherwise, maybe they'll forget they got a football game. It's a nice little resort, 126 acres, huge spa, and
Wow.
The team seems to be loving it. But as for the football side of things, Calvin Johnson's back on the field practicing. Lions are still without a couple tight ends. I know there's a lot of fans. Look, football's still growing here, so it's not like you see people walking down the street every day with various Lions jerseys or Atlanta Falcons jerseys on. But I know there are enough people, enough big football fans in town that this is going to be a sold-out game, and it should be a pretty exciting environment on Sunday.
So, Calvin Johnson, do you think he's going to go, or do you think it's just going to be way too tempting for the Lions to just sit him out and then give him basically a full month of rest on this gimpy ankle of his that he seems to not be able to shake? Or do they just just figure out that they've done well enough without him, they could beat the Falcons without him? Or do you think they're going to push the pedal to the metal and put him out there for the UK fans to enjoy?
Yeah, I don't think that they would think that they could beat the Falcons without him necessarily, or B, that the whole international stage will play into it. Talking to Calvin today, he said this is a decision that's probably going to go down till Sunday. So he's made good progress so far. He's running on it. He's cutting on it. He's doing a whole lot more than he was last week. And the fact that he was out there practicing today, we saw him running drills with the receiver, running routes with the fellow receivers and everything. He seemed to be moving fine. That gives me some confidence that he might be out there. But Calvin did say that's one thing that he's weighing. He's not going to be 100%, and weighing the risk of injuring it again, getting a setback, versus if he did take this extra week plus the bye week next week, he would come back pretty close to 100% for the second half of the season. So I think those discussions are still going on. I think the hope is that he's going to play, but like Calvin said, it might end up being a game time decision.
Interesting enough that Jim Caldwell comes in, offensive-minded coach that everybody thought would be coming in here and changing the fortunes of the team, and it's the defense that's really the biggest difference between last year's and this one. Dave, what do we owe that?
No question. I mean, that's caught a whole lot of people by surprise, myself included, especially. You look at what they did this offseason. They signed Golden Tate. They spent their first-round pick on Eric Ebron. The biggest offseason move they made on defense was James Ahedebo, and he missed the first couple games of the season with a neck injury. So the fact that the Lions have the #1 defense in the NFL, I think, has taken a lot of people by surprise. It's due largely to that defensive line. They are really good up front, really deep. Obviously, everybody knows Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley, but they're getting big contributions from guys like George Johnson, Darryl Tapp. I think defensive ends, pass rushers that are really playing off those tackles well that maybe not a whole lot of people knew about. And then, the secondary has really been a weak link for a long time. But the one thing that the Lions did in adding Ahedebo this year was really get a good safety pairing, two guys that play off each other well, in James Ahedebo and Glover Quinn. And Glover's having a really good year, and James has been kind of that enforcer in the box. He can blitz. He can do some things to add some versatility to that position that the Lions haven't had. So those guys are playing really well. And Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, first-year defensive coordinator in the NFL, former Michigan. He was with Lloyd Carr once upon a time. I know you'll like that. I think I think players really respond to him too.
So a couple of questions for you from the London front. Dave, is it true that the Lions brought a player all the way across only to cut him in London and send him back across the pond? Is that a true story, Dave?
Cold world, yeah. William Powell, practice squad running back. What happened, Rich, was they cut one of their safeties, young safety, Jerome Copeland, Copeland on Monday before they left. They have some injuries at tight end. No Brandon Pettigrew, no Eric Ebron, no Joseph Fourier practicing this week. So they had to sign Kellen Davis. So they cut a young tight end. They thought he might get claimed on waivers. He didn't. When he cleared waivers, they wanted to re-sign him to the practice squad. So William Powell literally went through the walkthrough Wednesday morning. Coaches pulled him aside, or the front office pulled him aside, told him he was being released, and they sent him to the airport Wednesday before practice. And I can only assume he's back home in the United States right now.
Wow, that is a long
Taekwondo Underwood from a
flight
few years
home.
ago with the Super Bowl, but tough nonetheless. I can't imagine what that plane flight was like.
And Kate Middleton making a rare public appearance, as you know, she is with child, with royal baby number 2. And reading in your space there, Dave, that the Lions were not impressed. Is that what I'm to understand? I mean, this is
Who could
Kate
not be
Middleton
impressed
for
with Kate
crying out
Middleton,
loud,
right?
Yeah.
No, look, I think we've had some of the great lines come from some of the Lions players this week out here at some of their availability, their media sessions. You know, Dominic Raiola was asked, you know, if he follows the Royals at all, and he said, yeah, I checked the World Series score this morning, and I said, wait, are you talking about the World Series? So he didn't quite grasp what the question was being asked. And, you know, Matthew Stafford today, somebody asked him about the, you know, there's a Stafford, England, and, you know, if he has any ties to the country. And he said, I don't know, maybe I'm a lord. So, you know, I think the Lions are having fun with the whole international flavor over here.
Oh, my Lord. And this is huge, man. If they're 6-2 coming home from the bye, and the Bears are sort of pointing fingers at each other, and the Vikings are falling apart, with only Green Bay the closest competition for them, and them having already beaten Green Bay. This is a big game, Dave, for the Lions. Big.
No, yeah, huge. I mean, look, I think Green Bay, in my eyes at least, even though the Lions have beat them, they are still the team to beat in the NFC North. You know, you got Aaron Rodgers. He's a difference maker. He's one of the best ones out there. But the Lions, that defense travels, man. They can play anywhere with it. They shut down the Packers. They beat them 19-7 earlier this year. That was at Ford Field. In a game like this, I know the Falcons are not playing great football right now, but if they beat the Saints, if they beat the Falcons on consecutive weekends, that's really going to help them, you know, NFC tiebreakers down the road. They have the Arizona Cardinals coming up next month. They're going to close the season at Chicago and Green Bay. I think ultimately their playoff hopes are going to come down to those final 2 games if they can win outdoors in the cold weather on the road against division opponents. But even if they don't win the division, it's games like this that really could set them apart when it comes to the playoff race.
Indeed. Certainly when you got a Falcons team that's down and you could put your foot on the throat there and take care of business. We appreciate you phoning in, or us phoning you. Apparently we paid for the trunk call, as they would say, across the pond. So enjoy the rest of the week there in London, and thanks for calling in, Dave.
All right, Rich. We'll talk to you again.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern, on Audience.